Monday, November 4th, 2024. And the first order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Charles?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public forum. Anyone from the public here? Does not appear to be. So we'll move on to item 3, public hearing to receive public comment on an ordinance extending the moratorium on cannabis establishments in the town of Guilford until January 31st. Just a little way of background. We are kicking the can down the road one last time because I think as we had a discussion 2 weeks ago, we seem to have come to some consensus. And we have some details to work out with the various forms of cannabis businesses, the 13 different categories. But I think we were focusing largely on the retail sales, and it seems as if we've come to some kind of consensus that we will impose a permanent ban on retail sales. But we do have the other items, the other business entities or types that we need to make a decision on. So is there anyone from the public wishing to comment? Anyone wishing to comment? All right, hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Item 4, approved minutes. 4.1, October 17th, 2024, special workshop meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any comments, questions, suggested changes?
I do have a suggested change, if I may.
Sure. So
In the second paragraph, we state that, according to the minutes, you stated that cannabis has been a great thing for the other towns. I think you said a great thing financially, or great financial thing. I think
I'm not sure I said a great thing. I said it's been a positive. I would say positive.
Yeah.
Financial impact.
Positive. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right. Anything further? Okay. Is there
I'll modify my motion.
motion? I was just going to ask for a modification. In a second, Lou.
Second.
Thank you. Further comments or questions? Hearing none, let me try your minds. Those on Zoom, Selectman Federici
Aye.
and Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
Those of us in the room?
Aye.
That motion carries. 4.2, October 21, 2024, regular meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All right. Comments, questions, suggested changes? Any? I had none. Sue?
I have one, I think, at the very end, when we had the discussion of placing the unattended display of the nativity scene on the green, I believe we decided that it would not be within the fence that goes around the holiday tree.
Correct.
And I can't remember, we in what's written in the minutes is that we said except sections 7, 8, and 10. Does that cover it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And actually, the individual reached back out to me about that restriction that we put in place, and we're sticking with it. So.
Okay. Good. Good.
Okay. Anything further? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici.
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously, I might add. Which is not an unusual occurrence here. Item 5, Finance Director Mary Jane Malvasi. We discuss and take possible action on a resolution to transfer unexpended bond funds to purchase a basin cleaning truck.
So
You brought your bodyguard?
we're gonna tag team you today, because I can tell you the money part, but I don't know anything about a vector, so. So to set the stage, we have a bond authorization from fiscal year 1920. The original bond authorization was for 1.135 million. Within that authorization were 3 items: Public Works repaving of the site, general road construction, and the Public Works wash bay construction. Of those 3 items, the road construction has been complete.
Yeah.
That money has been spent, but we do have $230,000 under Public Works repaving and $350,000 under the wash bay construction. We are here today requesting a reallocation of those public works funds to a new vehicle, which Dave will explain in a minute. There is a resolution in front of you regarding the $580,000 needed for this purpose.
Great. Dave?
So we were looking at using that money to purchase what's called a Vector. It's close. So right now we have a clam truck that we use, and it's like it's like the quarter machine that you see where you just put it goes down into the base and scoops the material out, and you haul it away, and that's it. Well, what a Vector does is it uses a vacuum, so it sucks the material out, but it also has a hose on the front where you can jet pipes, you can clean them. Right now we run into problems where if the pipe is clogged, call the fire department, and if they can't do it, then we pay $6,000 a day for a contractor to jet these pipes. The other aspect of the truck is that it has what's called hydro excavation. Hydro excavation is where you force water down into an area, and it also sucks the material out at the same time. So we just started working on a project over at Water Lily, and there's underground utilities there. What happens is we do our call before we dig. The utility will come out and they'll say, okay, the power line is here. So break the top of the material and then get 4 or 5. You have to do it by a shovel. So they want our guys to go in there by hand and hand dig around these around the structures. Now, if they break the protective coating, we're looking at it's dangerous. So with hydro excavation, what it does is it's one person, they stand there, they just use the vacuum with the water. It sucks all the material out around the pipes or whatever utility is there in the ground, and it exposes it. So Hartford uses this a lot because they have a lot of underground gas. There are a lot of towns that use hydro excavation, and they love it. Instead of going out with a backhoe and a haul truck and 2 or 3 guys, when you need to do hydro excavation, you just go with the truck and 2 guys. The other aspect of this is the fire department's apparatus hooks up to this piece of equipment. So the fire department, I've reached out to the chief, and he's in support of it because they would be able to use it for trench rescues. You're increasing the likelihood of survival by 70% going with hydro excavation as to the old with a backhoe or excavator. So the machine would be, I think, would be a perfect buy for us as a town. Other attachments you could add to the hose on the front when you jet pipes, you can get a root cutter. So if you have roots in a pipe, it will cut through the roots. You can add a camera to it. So now you can go into the pipes and you can see what they look like. There's a lot of pipes, and we use the fire department most of the time. And you can see the bottoms are all rotted out. Why? Because the sand salt sat on the bottom of the pipe, and over time it just rotted through it. And if we're jetting these pipes out, flushing them out, cleaning them out, that material is not sitting there anymore. We're getting more time out of these metal pipes that we do have in the ground. And we've gone to plastic and concrete, which we should be doing, but we should be cleaning out these pipes that we do have. There's probably, a rough estimate of around 50 to 60 basins that we can't get into with the clam because of the size of it. Whereas with the Vector, it's a small tube. It's a 6-inch tube, and it just goes in there, and you could suck everything out. There's a lot of basins where ledge or there were challenges where they just put the top, and Mulberry Point is one. There's ledge halfway in the basin, so you can't get in there to clam it. Any sediment in there stays there unless we go in there somehow and shovel it out. If there's a divot in the road and we don't want to dig up the whole road with the backhoe, we can go there and hydro excavate it. Just cut a small square, hydro excavate that, fix the pipe, and fill it in and move on. So I think it'd be a really good purchase for the town and for us. And along with that, we would trade in or sell our clam truck because we wouldn't need it anymore.
Charles?
If this is using water to clean things out and then sucking it out, does that mean it's connected to a tank truck? And
It has a tank on it. It holds 1,000 gallons of water.
what about the debris it's pulling out? That must be going to a tank.
It goes to a separate tank on it and it holds 9 yards of debris.
Where do we dump that?
We would get and work with engineering. We'd set up a site at the stump dump. Right now, we dump our catch basin cleanings in that
That's what I'm
pile.
thinking. We've already got issues with contaminated stuff there already. And we are going to have to build a site to drain this tank and.
Well, what you could do is you could do what's called you can decant it, which separates the water from the solids. And you dump,
Like a pool, a settling pool.
right.
And is that going to, I mean, that's something we're gonna have to build out there, and then is that going to be the same? I know we're already having issues with contaminated material out in that site. Is this going to add, I mean, we gotta dump the debris somewhere anyway, I can appreciate that, but I just wonder what this, is it gonna require some construction out there? Is it gonna be, a pond, wetlands thing? It's good. Now we're gonna have this pool of stuff versus a pile of stuff, in the clamshell.
Well, the clam, when he pulls the material, it's wet sometimes too.
Yeah, but it's not full of water.
Right, but it will separate, it will dry out, and because we're getting rid of the clay, we would just use that area. We just have to set it up where,
Settling pond.
settle it, it dries, then you spread it out, it dries, and then you pile it up, and it's a pile now, and then you.
Okay, but what I'm thinking about is that water, I mean, it's gonna be in a pond, it's gonna run somewhere. I just wanna make sure we're not creating ourselves a problem out there with contaminated water or whatever. That's what I'm trying to get to.
I don't think we're gonna create a problem with contaminated water or
You already talked about pulling stuff out of drains and salt and everything else.
We're
You
doing that
can't
already,
just
right?
take that
Yeah.
water and have it go into. I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm asking. Has that been figured out yet? I don't want to start bringing gallons and gallons of water up to the sump dump and having that drain into whatever local water course there is up there. And be a potential problem. I just want to make sure that's been thought through. That's all.
I had a conversation with Janice about this at one time last year, because we were looking at going with a Vector, and there is a plan that we would put in place to make sure that we were following all of, protocols to make sure we weren't contaminating anything we weren't supposed to be doing. If we have to do hay bales or silt fence, whatever it is that we have to do to.
That would be enough to stop contaminated water? I mean, just
I-
silt fence and things like that?
I have to talk with Janice and come up with a plan. I think,
We're already putting contaminated water up there anyway, because it's in the materials that we're
I
bringing
know, but
back.
there's a
Yeah.
lot different.
the sweeper has it too, I
But
mean,
you also said the separator, right? There's a separator component. Where would that water go?
Well, that's what he's
Yeah.
talking about. You're gonna have to manage it and send it into like a detention area so that it
Detention
can
pond.
settle out.
yeah,
And we've got the appropriate amount of space up there to do that
we do.
without impacting wetlands.
Have to.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Kevin's right here. He'll make sure.
I could speak to the truck. I mean, we use them in Branford and they're, a very valuable resource in terms of keeping our stormwater system cleaner than it has been kept with just the clam digger. And it's gonna address a lot of issues going forward in compliance with our stormwater permit.
With the MS4 stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I would be fully supportive of
So you're gonna see cleaner outfalls, you're gonna see cleaner stuff coming in the outfalls.
Yeah, because we're gonna be able to better clean the catch basins, but we're also gonna be able to clean the pipes, which we haven't been doing unless there was like a backup, so you're not gonna just go out there and clean the basin, you're also gonna clean the pipe while you're out there, so you're keeping everything a lot cleaner, and I think your outfalls are gonna be seeing better results.
Well, it's, you pay the piper, you pay Peter, right?
No, I understand, and I know the water authority, they have the same machines and stuff, and I know it's a great idea, I just don't want to be creating another issue in another place. It's wherever that water's going, it's gonna be
And have to be
handled properly.
And it's,
Right.
managed, yeah.
anything further?
I,
Right,
I
so-
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a couple questions.
Yep.
about the funding of this, I'm sure Mary Jane talked to bond counsel and that it's fine for us to use the remaining authorization for this instead of what the voters originally approved. Because they're both public works, I guess, is that the concept? But
Yeah, I was just gonna note that the resolution was written by bond counsel.
I'm sure it was. It's very different use of funds than what was approved by the voters, to me. Purchasing a vehicle, a very expensive and fairly specialized vehicle is not what was approved. And I know you've legally dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's, but to me, it's really not. So I have that concern. Secondly, I don't think we've seen this on the capital request. If we weren't trying to, I don't mean to say this badly, but if we weren't trying to use up unexpended funds on something, would this be in the capital request? How would this be prioritized along with all of the other needs?
When did this first show up on our radar? You said you talked about it last year, but it's not in the 5-year capital plan as either Sue or I recall, so.
Right, I brought it up to my commission at the time, and the machine at the time that we looked at was $800,000. And they said, no way. And so if they said, if you can get it at a better price and smaller, for this town, then we would consider it. So
this was a financial issue with your commission that has since come around to thinking that the value at 580 is well worth it.
right.
So a really good point, though.
Yeah, and what do you think about proceeds for the existing piece of equipment? Any idea?
If I had to guess, we should make between 20 and 40,000 for that piece of equipment.
Oh, okay, drop in the bucket. Okay,
Yeah, I guess that number, right?
yeah,
So I completely agree with you. This is a switch from the original intended use of those funds, but we have determined that those funds are going to be available because of conversations we've had recently to install a truck bay, a wash bay up at the current Public Works facility might be a fool's errand, as well as repaving up there because of our consideration to build the facility up off of Long Hill and Route 80. So I think that obviated the need for the use of those funds.
yeah, I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Procedurally, one thing we could do is we could defer this conversation until we meet to discuss the capital budget requests, which is in 2 weeks. And at that time, we could designate this item to come from bond funds. But we'd be looking collectively at all of the needs rather than looking at this as a one-off.
So that's a good point. Is there any urgency to issue an PO for this machine at this time? We're talking a couple of weeks before we have our budget workshop, right?
2 weeks.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And then it fits the process that Sue had talked about. It comes up, so you're gonna have to modify your capital request, the 5-year capital, to include this piece of equipment. And then we will deal with it at the meeting in 2 weeks. Although I'm not sure can we take action at that meeting or not? Don't know.
Well,
Well-
we'll get some further analysis and then show up on one of our meetings in December. Unless again, there's an urgency here that something needs to happen before we hit winter, whenever that arrives.
I mean, to Susan's point, looking at it in the capital plan, yes, it is a manipulation of the annual balances and that type of thing, but without micromanaging the Public Works Commission, if they're a board, I understand Sue's discomfort, and I understand that, and I agree with it, but I don't know if waiting and getting it aligned procedurally is going to change the outcome. And if that's true, and the Public Works Commission has vetted this, what do we gain in reality other than procedurally clean it up?
Yeah, well, I think, so I want to answer, I don't want to answer for you, but I think the object lesson here is that we need to be more diligent in identifying these things well enough in advance so they find their way onto the 5-year capital plan in an appropriate fashion. And I know this has been a consistent theme for you over time. And if the object lesson is it's got to show up on a capital plan at some point, unless it's an emergency, then we wouldn't contemplate it until such time as we did see it on the 5-year plan. I think that's the angle you're looking for, right? So,
Well,
Yes, thank you.
go ahead, Sue. I didn't mean.
No, that was said better than I could say it. That's my concern.
Well, okay, but my concern at that point in time is your other point, Susan, about the voters deciding what we're spending in the capital plan. I mean, you know, you're concerned about, spending funds that were voted on for one thing for a completely different thing. You still have that concern
Yes.
to the point of where you would want to put this before the voters in another bond?
No,
Well-
that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing is this within the, I'm sorry to speak for you, Sue, but I have a slightly different question from Charles, but I agree with you that it's on the outer edge of seems like what's appropriate within this bond allocation, but somebody's saying we can do it and that's all good. But to be a little more deliberate on something this significant, I think makes some sense. If I could spit in my question, I'll give it back to you. So I know you have one more thing to say, but my question was slightly different, Charles, which was, is there some specialized maintenance that's required with this thing? Charles pointed out the environmental problem, and I guess that really ultimately was my concern, not so much with what we're doing with the finished product, but is there, this has got to have some sort of separator to deal with the fact that this water's coming up with all sorts of stuff in it. I mean, what's the maintenance like on this piece of equipment? Can we do all that internally, or is there going to be ongoing sort of specialized care required to keep the process, the ability to separate the water from whatever else is coming up? And what's that likely to cost? That was my question. I think it's a great idea and I get it. We're going to be doing a better job cleaning these crevices out. It's like a water pick, right? And that's pretty cool, but it's kind of then you got to deal with that stuff. And I'd be a little more interested in what happens there.
Well, as far as maintenance goes, my mechanics, I have all the confidence in the world that they could fix anything that we have in this town. And including this, the vendor has been very open to saying, hey, come down, we'll show your mechanics what to look for, how to maintain these things. We don't have a problem with that. They added extended warranties to the equipment, also to help with the maintenance of the vehicle.
I don't think Lou's question so much was, mechanical maintenance as much as, again, where I was coming from, the extra processes surrounding the disposal of material and that type of maintenance. I'm not sure if that's where Lou was going. The mechanics of it, it's a machine. My concern, and I think Lou was starting to express a little bit more, is how much more peripheral preparation and regulation are we going to have to deal with? Has it been looked at, examined, and is the cost really going to be another $250,000 to deal with it? That's all. I want to find out in 6 months that because we have this truck, now we have to have this. That's the only point I was trying to make.
Yeah, so with regards to the material, we're pulling in now with the clam truck. It's just we're eliminating the clam truck.
So your explanation is we're going to be pulling in a lot more. The cleaning out of stuff and getting the salt out and stuff like that. It's going to be better cleaning, which means we're going to end up with more bad stuff. So it's the bad stuff and all of the other
Well,
That's-
maybe a couple of weeks also gives us an opportunity to tighten up how we're gonna deal with the excess materials and a set of recommendations or set of options of how we're gonna do that out there. Because that will, that.
I want to make sure that it's been looked at.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes,
I just want to speak to the fact that, I mean, we have, you know, about 3,000 catch basins throughout town. We have many outfalls. And so anything we can do to keep that system as clean as possible, because we do have to test it, monitor it, and report to the DEP, is a good thing. I mean, it's gonna take all those, you know, localized discharges and kind of concentrate it more in, you know, into the area that we have better control over. And it will require setting up some controls, which, you know, in-house can be built by Public Works in terms of a decanting area and retention area for the added liquid waste that's gonna be produced in this method of cleaning. But I think ultimately, I think our goal should be overall, we're gonna see an improvement for the general environmental health of our town and our waters by doing this and being able to control it better on one site than having all these discharges that are not being as well managed and cleaned, you know, going forward throughout town. So I think from that standpoint, yeah, it's a challenge, but it's a challenge we're already facing with the individual discharges. So, you know, if we can control it better in one where it's concentrated and we have control over it, I think is a better thing. And, you know, we'll work with Public Works to set that up at Sullivan Drive property. We have the benefit of having that large piece of property to work with.
I agree with everything you said, and I want to go in that direction. I just want to put a number on it or a ballpark. I want to make sure that, you know, obviously, I think you have examined it, but I don't want to find out in 6 months or a year that we need this, you know, $250,000 or $500,000
renovation.
something. I don't know what it would be.
I don't think you're gonna be looking at.
I don't either, and I just want to make sure. You know.
We don't contemplate that
No.
at this time, you know, it's.
And don't forget, we still have a budget for cleaning the stump dump every year, so.
I want to add to that.
Yeah, no,
Well,
If I,
We're starting
I don't
to
want
get
any
paid for it.
surprises, okay? It's simple, I just want to make sure that, you know, it's something that you have, you know, contemplated and, you know, we're not going to get any surprises, you know. I know we're doing a better job, I want to do a better job in keeping track of this material and do a better job of cleaning out these things. But I just want to, Susan's point, I wanted the voters to know that to do a better job might cost money. What the number is, and is the number coming from the right place? And then if the voters have to decide, voters have to decide.
Can I jump back in? Charles, are you all set?
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, no, thank you. I don't want to give the sense that I'm overly negative about this. I'm really not. I think it's a little bit more process. So if there's, honestly, if there's some real urgency, I'd like to know if we're gonna lose a price or for some reason we're gonna lose the season. If this can wait 30 days and we can get a little more input on some of these environmental questions, which I'm sure have been addressed, but it would just feel more comfortable. We had a specific representation. And it's not gonna dramatically disrupt things other than we do appreciate, you know, you gotta go back to the drawing board a little bit. But my inclination is to support this. I like the idea as long as the consequences of switching this system don't outweigh the benefits. And I remember the discharge from the various outlets being a significant issue, and dealing with that is a big headache. And I like the idea of centralizing the problem there. I like all this. I just kind of feel like if we can push it back, make sure we're tight on the financials and good on the environmentals, I think we'll get there in a month. That's me.
I talked to the vendor about the pricing, and I had asked them, you know, because of chassis and everything, you know, they have their year ends and when they start for pricing, and they said that this pricing, they could honor this pricing till the end of November, and then after that, they said they're not sure because of the price of chassis and everything. But I did have them give me a complete estimate on a complete machine through the Sourcewell contract, and it's $549,000. That's the total price.
Sounds promising.
We can certainly add something to the Board of Selectmen capital plan workshop that to move this along if we need to do it on the before the end of November to hold the price. Because we have a regular board meeting on the 18th, followed by the capital meeting. We can certainly add an action item on that meeting to allow for taking advantage of the prices before there is a potential increase. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Does to
Sound like-
me.
Sound like a plan? Good,
Okay.
yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6. Engineer, Janice Blakey. 6.1, discuss and take possible action on repairs needed to the scale at the waste transfer station. Good morning, Janice.
Good morning. Fairbanks has been our contractor doing maintenance and calibration of our scale at the transfer station since I started here. And when they came through the last time to calibrate it for our required state license to operate the scale, they did find some problems with the scale. There was a repair that was done because it was not functioning at the time, but at that time, but then I asked them to give me a rundown on what, the scale needed to be in better operating, so we don't have another emergency. And so they came up with the need to do the replacement of some of these items that are listed on the attachment, and it came to a total price of with materials of $16.96, and I think she had sent me also some freight costs that we should consider. I think it was at least $350 additional freight. So
Questions?
This is just getting it back to shape. That scale's got some major, I remember one other major repair back a few years ago, but is it worth putting the kind of money into the scale? It's a simple.
yeah, we have to keep operating, as you know, we
But is it an old clunker that we're just?
No, I mean, I think we gotta look at the infrastructure of the site overall. We have some issues with our compactor that have to be addressed. I'm working with Public Works on that now. But yeah, I think we, for the
It's
fact that,
worth repairing at this point.
yeah, it's not an exorbitant amount of money, it's under $10,000. I think it's something we should do to keep seamless operations. Yeah, and I've asked them, is it worth doing? Yeah,
That's the
it's,
question.
yeah.
Sue or Lou, any comments or questions?
No, this is
This is,
clear.
yeah, pretty clear.
Pretty clear.
All right, so is there a motion to approve the proposal by Fairbanks for the
I'll
repair?
move it.
And a second?
Second,
Do you think the switching to the new system will use the scale less?
Slightly, slightly. A lot of the scale is really for bulky. The majority of our trash disposal is done on the $9, per transaction operation. There's
I
a
didn't
few,
think that
but
would change much.
yeah.
Okay, so let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
aye.
those in the room? Aye, that motion carries. 6.2, consider and take possible action on repairs and improvements to a public works truck for use as a tractor at the transfer station.
Yeah, I think last time we met, we disposed of the truck that we had problems that we were using for the purpose of pulling the trailers at the transfer station. And Dave had come to me and said they had an old truck that he thought could be repurposed, to replace that one that we lost. And so they reached out to two of their usual vendors to do it. One wasn't available until after the new year, and Ballard's was available to get the work done right away. So looking to go ahead with this for approximately $7,000. They gave us a proposal of about 6,000, but there's, you know, you never know if something comes up,
Oh,
so.
right, good. Okay. All right, so we're looking to approve 629404, the Ballard's diesel service for the,
I'm,
move it, and a second,
Second,
comments or questions?
Just to clarify the order of things, this repair, town of Guilford is not paying for the retrofitting and then giving the truck to the transfer station, right? We're gonna give the truck to the transfer station and then it gets paid for
Yes.
half by Madison is where I'm going.
Yeah,
Right?
it's paid for by the transfer station.
Okay,
Good.
great.
Thanks for that clarification, Sue. All right, we have a motion on the table and a second, let me try your minds. Selectman, Federici,
aye,
Selectman Renner,
Aye.
those in the room? Aye, that motion carries. 6.3, discuss and take possible action to authorize the first selectman to sign the Connecticut Water Company contract and hydrant acceptance form for the water main extension project on State Street and payment of the agreed upon costs in the agreement.
Yeah, so this was a surprise to me. We were working with Connecticut Water for over a year on, you know, designing this water main extension, which we've already, you know, entered contract with our vendor on. And then it was sprung on me, this paperwork, and then the more concerning part is the expected cost of 86,000.
Mhm.
$668.80 to cover their costs, which is Connecticut Water's cost, which, whatever. So,
Go ahead, you can speak your mind.
Yeah.
which seems a
Charles
little-
won't be offended, it's not.
It seems
it's not the
exorbitant
reason
to me.
why-
I don't even struggle, like, the only issue is that Connecticut Water is a privately owned company.
Yeah.
Strange about it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I pleaded with them. I mean, we work hand in hand a lot with them and give us a lot of our time to them and consideration on projects they've had going on in town. You know, with water main replacement projects, we've never billed them, but they're feeling the need to bill us, so. I believe Matt's trying to work out a way to minimize this cost, but I got a contractor ready to start this this project, so I think we just, need to bite the bullet and we have to provide them with a full cash advance of this money, so Matt has to sign the contract and we have to hand over a check. And then hopefully work out the fact that it will be a minimal cost and not hopefully the $86,000 they're estimating. And then the other item is the, you know, acceptance of having the fire hydrant that we're, you know, doing this water main extension for, to be added to our, you know, ongoing hydrant charges going forward.
Got it. To not answer, but to respond to Janice's comment, yes, I have reached out to the CEO, the president, Greg Patla, who I've had a longstanding relationship, and he was surprised by this himself, and said he would be looking into it to see what he could do on it. And I have confidence that we're going to see this revised in some form or fashion. And quite honestly, some of these numbers in here are just crazy, you know. Contingency for them for what? They're not doing any of the work. 20,000 contingency, you know, overhead of $55,000. All right. You know, how many eyes at Connecticut Water Company are going to be looking at any of this or have looked at it to this?
Yeah.
So,
What do they care? We're paying for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully not, but.
I think so.
So I will do my best to negotiate it to a position, to a place that is acceptable.
Yeah, I do want to point out, we're having a pre-construction meeting today. I'm gonna get the schedule from the contractor, so, you know, I just want to be clear, we'll be approving this, we'll be sending them a check for this amount since we don't have anything else worked out, but hopefully in the end, we'll get a lot of that money back.
Yeah.
All right, so is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
motion,
And authorize me to sign the contract? Yeah. So the second, further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Those in favor, Selectman Federici,
aye,
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in the room?
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries.
Great.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Janice. All right, item 7, consider and take possible action on the open space and watershed land acquisition grant program resolution and authorize the first selectman to sign all documents related to said grant. Kevin, come up, and we've got Gary on the line as well.
Yes, I'm here.
Nice to see you, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here. Apparently it's been a while because I had to update my Zoom to get on.
Obviously, we need to have you on more boards or commissions then. All right, gentlemen, who's taking this? Who's taking the lead here?
I'll jump on here to start. So looking at the notes here, 2 years ago, we received, basically signed the deed with the Balistraci family for the purchase of the Balistraci portion of the East River Reserve, the northern section there.
Yeah.
We then filed for, with the Connecticut DEP for an open space watershed grant from them, which we did receive. And they provided us with $174,200. I do want to indicate that we purchased the property from the Balistraci family for $325,000. So we're getting a good, just over half of the money, about half the money back from this grant. As part of the requirements, we're notified May of 23 that we did receive the grant, but they had a bunch of requirements for us to go through before they actually gave us the reimbursement for the purchase of the property. One was being we had to construct a small parking area by the trail entrance for them. And we had to get a survey conducted of the property and then boundaries set on the property there. That's all been completed. Following that, we've sent the survey to the state with the meets and bounds for the property. They have a sheet of process we need to follow. Following that, we had to actually get a new document for the saying there's no liens and stuff on the property.
It's a clean title.
For a clean title, so another title review of the property, make sure the property is still free and clear. Did that process, sent the meet and bounds to the state. They approved it and then added them to this conservation easement document. Now, in order for this document to be signed, they require this board to allow Matt to sign these documents.
There you go. A lot of red tape. A lot of red tape.
And I would add new red tape, but the process of the title that they wanted title insurance on their easement was new. The fact that they wanted to be ahead of our provision that this would be type A open space, class A open space, was new, and it required us to actually go back to the Balistraci brothers, who were very cooperative, I will point out, but and redo deeds so that we would remove our provision that it's class A, so that their easement or their provision could be ahead of or really be the sole provider of protection for this property. They've changed some personnel, I guess. They went to the Attorney General office and they made some suggestions. So it was a little bit aggravating, but on the other hand, they're giving us 53.6% of the money back that we paid for it, which was in the grant process. I did some quick math of the amount of land protected and the amount of money granted, and we were far above the average on that grant round, primarily because this is what we bought was completely surrounded by conservation land. So anyway, Kevin put in a lot of work on this. Others put in a lot of work on this, and I trust we won't have any problem accepting money and signing a few documents in order to do that.
As long as I don't get writer's cramp on funding, so. All right, is there a motion?
I'll move it.
A second.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Okay, further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici? He seems to have disappeared momentarily. Selectwoman Renner?
Aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. All right, item 8, discuss and take possible action on an ordinance extending the moratorium on cannabis establishments in the town of Guilford until January 31st, 2025, as a result of the earlier public hearing. Is there a motion? Second.
Second,
Further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici, maybe? No. Selectwoman Renner?
aye.
Those in the room?
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 9, appointments and resignations. Act on a recommendation to appoint Maureen Pascasilla to the Youth and Family Services Board. Is there a motion?
I'll move more.
A second?
Second,
Let me try your minds. Second Federici? Selectwoman Renner?
aye.
Here, I made it. I made it.
You're back in? Okay, good.
Aye.
That was an aye, good. And those in the room? Aye. Item
Aye.
9.2, Kevin, please don't leave. Act on a recommendation to reappoint Diane Barger to the Agricultural Commission for a term to expire on September 29th, 2028. Kevin has just indicated to me that Diane has not been to a meeting since COVID. Started or was completed? Was it at the start or?
We had a couple meetings in here. I think she showed maybe once or twice, but in the past 2 years, she hasn't been attending meetings, and we made it in person too for 10 because of technology issues on her part there too.
Okay. And what
Have we talked to
yeah, it's this is
party knows
yeah.
about that it's been an issue?
I don't know.
I can give you dates if you want to table that.
Yeah, I'd like to table that, reach out both to the folks that nominated her as well as give her an opportunity. If this is an expressed concern from the town staff to the commission, it's something I think we ought to pay attention to.
Mhm.
So is there a motion to table?
That I'd like to be able to honor the request that came from the Republican Town Committee where they say that Ms. Auger would like to continue but again, if it's a problem with our staff and things aren't getting done and we're not having a quorum, if there's other people that want to be on this commission and can't because the seat is occupied, I can understand that. Is that the case?
I don't know. That's what I'd like to find out. Kevin,
Okay.
it is.
And are they aware of the attendance issue?
Right. And there are some provisions for boards removing members for lack of participation. That's been done a couple of times, it's highly unusual, but
Yeah, I don't want to go there.
I
I
don't
want
wanna go
to
there.
make sure that they're aware of the situation.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
this is really just an inquiry. This is not, there's no prejudice in what we're doing here. It's just understanding the issue better.
Makes sense.
All right, so is there a motion to adjourn then? Not adjourn,
Table.
but to table. Yep. Table there. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Kevin, thank you for.
I'll get that information for you.
Pete, is Pete Perkins still chair?
Yeah, he's still chair.
Okay, I'll reach out to Pete as well. Keep that on. All right. Item 9.3, act on a recommendation to reappoint John Wetterman to the Agricultural Commission for a term to expire September 19th, 2028. Is there a motion?
Yes, so moved.
And a second?
Second.
Second. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner?
Aye.
That motion carries. 9.4, act on a recommendation to reappoint Mark Larkins to the Public Works Commission for a term to expire on May 31st, 2028. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Second, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner?
Aye.
Those in the room? Aye. Item 10, request for use of town property. Act on request for the Guilford Arts Center to place a sign on the green advertising its holiday expo taking place November through December 2024. Sign placement 11/21 to 12/5. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
And a second?
Second.
Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner?
Aye.
Those in the room? Aye, that motion carries. Act on a
Matt,
request.
before we speed on for that one, tiny detail, but the summary in our agenda says 11/21 through 12/5, but the
Oh,
handwritten application says November 21 through December 12th, which doesn't seem to me a big problem. I think people typically get 2 weeks. That's a tiny bit more than 2 weeks maybe. But I just want to make sure they get it through the 12th.
Okay, well, we'll make it effective so they get the 2 weeks, right?
Okay.
We'll clarify with them when they want it.
Yeah, just
That 2 week period.
all good.
Thank you. 10.2 is act on a request from the Starship Dance Theater to place a sign in the green advertising its performance taking place December 6th and 7th, 2024. Sign placement 11/22 to 12/6. I'm assuming this is the Nutcracker. Is there a motion?
so whoops.
And a second here. Any further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. 10.3, act on a request from the Dudley Farm to place a sign in the green advertising its holiday open house, holiday market taking place September 7th through 8th and 14th and 15th. Sign placement 11:30 to 12:15. Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Second.
Any further comments or questions? Do we have another issue with the 2 week there? The 11:30 through 12:15 is a little bit more than 2 weeks, right?
I don't have an issue with it.
You don't have an issue with it? That's fine. Okay. All right, let me try your mind. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
those in the room? All right, that motion carries. All right, committee reports. Sandy's not here, but we are steadily making progress with the Affordable Housing Commission. They participated in a forum put on by the Guilford Human Services Council recently with representatives from the United Way as well as Beth El, which is a shelter in Milford, which just received $12 million to build a completely new shelter. Really good conversation, about an hour and a half with many of the representatives who are dealing with folks who are either homeless or facing potential issues. So that went well. Correspondence, old business, new business.
Hey, did we all get the invite for the Bittner Playground invite this afternoon?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I think there was an update to that because I think they tried to move it up because of daylight savings time, changing the clocks. 4 o'clock was not going to leave awful lot of daylight. So I think Pam moved it to 3:30 or 3, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, well, I not that I ever have problems keeping a schedule, but I'm glad I mentioned it. Duly noted. Thank you.
Really, no, you got it. All right. Okay, public forum. Anyone wishing to address the board in public forum? I don't see anyone from the
Matt,
public there.
Matt, it's Gary. I would just make one comment. The facilities, and I kicked into the meeting as they were talking about the fixing the drain or getting the spoils out of the drains. This was a problem that was identified by the facilities task force, and it's in one of its problems. So I'm glad they're addressing it and finding a way to deal with it.
Thank you, Gary. I thought you were going along the lines of you were going to talk about the facilities task force and their original recommendation to relocate public works. That is becoming closer to a reality, at least getting in front of the voters. And since you seem to have a lot of time on your hands, we probably will be looking for a building committee to put together. But
Timely appearance.
Well, if you double my pay, I'll consider it.
Done. I'm just kidding. But you'd always be welcome, believe me. Okay. I think we have an opportunity for an executive session, discuss and take possible action regarding the retiree medical benefits effective January 1, 2025. An executive session will be required. Mitch, who are we inviting in?
Mary Jane and Joe Spurgeon. as
Joe
well as
Spurgeon.
Work. And the reason we're going executive session because it potentially affects collective bargaining.
Got it. Do we need Pete or can we excuse him?
No, I don't think we need Pete. I mean, he can stay, but I don't think we need him.
Yeah, and Rebecca and Becky, we don't need Becky at this either. Great, thank you for your participation. So we're gonna invite Joe to stay in. MJ's in the room and she's also remote at the same time. She's really talented.
They Blumenthal, 2 places at one time.
So Trey, can you make sure Becky's off? Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
In a second,
I'll second.
thank you.